Today's guest has arrived, and what a lovely person he is too. I always love to see him. He's a writer, he's a broadcaster, he's a podcaster. Many things, a regular on shows like Celebrity Gogglebox, which I love, but also a former MP, government whip, many books, many poetry, best-selling poetry and anthology, the whole lot. There's too much, but let's just deal with one thing at a time. Gyles Brandreth, welcome.
Ryan, it is wonderful to be with you again, and you're looking, if I may say so, really good.
As are you, healthy, fit and well. Yeah. And we've got so many places to go today.
Look, and you're in your shirt sleeves, but I'm in my jumper.
You are. Well, you're a man who's known so well for his jumpers, but today's jumper tells its own story in every sense, because that's why we're here. Let's get down to business.
Okay, let's get down to business.
Describe the jumper and we'll take it from there.
On my jumper is Winnie the Pooh holding hands, or rather holding paws, with Piglet. Oh, I can offer you something special.
Come on.
Something that nobody else on this show has ever offered you before. Shake my hand, Ron. You are now shaking the hand that shook the hand that held the paw of Winnie the Pooh.
Come on.
Because I knew the real Christopher Robin.
You did. You spent some time.
Born in 1920, the bear was given to him a year later for his first birthday. In the 1980s, when he was in his 60s, we became friends.
Yes.
And that's, in a way, why when I was asked to write a book about Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin and A.A. Milne for the 100th birthday of Winnie the Pooh, which falls this Christmas Eve, 24th December 1925, first Winnie the Pooh story published, I said yes, because I knew Christopher Robin. And it's always felt very special to me to know Christopher Robin because, well, it's such an extraordinary thing to be, as he was in the 1920s, the most famous boy in the world.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Because it is so unlikely. It's like saying I'm friends with Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, isn't
exactly.
it? Because it feels like a character rather than a person.
And that for him was the problem. He quite liked being Christopher Robin when he was a little boy, signing autographs, having his photograph taken. He even went to HMV and recorded the song, Little Boy Kneels at the Foot of the Bed. Quite liked being with Princess Elizabeth, who became our queen. They were the two most famous real children in the world.
Wow.
Quite liked all that. Then he went away to boarding school and began growing up.
Yeah.
And people teased him, actually bullied him for being Christopher Robin, a child in a storybook with long curly hair. And eventually, as a result of this, he actually fell out with his own father, A.A. Milne, who'd created the stories, and actually stopped seeing his father and left London, and because he found it so frustrating. He would go for a job, and they'd say, oh, you're named Milne. Are you related to the great A.A.? Oh, C.R. Milne. Oh, you must be Christopher Robin. Little boy kneels up. And eventually he accused his father of building his reputation by standing on a small boy's shoulders.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
How complicated, how psychologically damaging, and yet giving all this beauty to the world. And
it's
it's epic story.
It is an epic story, and it's been fascinating to do. And it's been, for me, it's been an exploration of childhood, of when you grow up, of the enchanted places of childhood, how you can recapture them, how somebody like A.A. Milne, who had a very complicated adult life himself, felt so totally happy. He used to say that the only time you can achieve pure happiness in your life is when you're a child. Up to the age of about 12, pure happiness is accessible.
I think that is a really, really poignant and pertinent thing to say.
And I'll ask you, Ron, when do you think you began to say, what he said when he was 12 is when he began to say goodbye. And he began with his father. There's a wonderful bit in the book I quote, where he says, farewell, Papa, with your shy, sad heart and your funny little ways. Yeah. And almost at 12, he is becoming the adult, and the dad is the child. And from then on, there was lots of happiness. He had a good marriage. He liked his successes, but it was never unadulterated. It's never going to last. But in childhood, you can achieve happiness.
Yes.
And you mentioned that I'm a podcaster, and I do a podcast called Rosebud.
It's a beautiful podcast.
Well, thank you. It's all about the childhood. So it begins with, what is your very first memory? And I've unpacked the childhoods now of hundreds of people. And some have very happy childhoods, and some have childhoods that are really difficult. Yes. And what's interesting to me about the world of Winnie the Pooh is that through the writing of A.A. Milne, you can still have access to the pure happiness of a good childhood, even if you didn't have one.
Yeah.
And so that's what intrigues
me. We lost you there to the thought process. I would say lost you. It was lovely to listen to, but I could see you were there. And you asked me when did childhood say goodbye? I would actually refer to a friend of mine and his son who I met the other day, and young Jack, who's 13 now, was recounting a story last year. We went to the airport with his mother, got to and the mother was faffing and couldn't figure out what, and got to the airport counter, and he said, we need to organise tickets, and the person behind the counter said, but you're not an adult, where's your mum or dad, where's the parent? He said, I'm the parent now.
Oh.
Because he knew that he had to fix it.
Yeah.
And that was his goodbye to childhood.
But isn't it intriguing? So, for me, it's been a fascinating adventure. And, I mean, obviously, I love the Winnie the Pooh books, and they're amazing. And why do they work still after 100 years?
Yes.
Because they're beautifully written. I mean, he was a great writer.
And Rosebud is of course, a reference, isn't it, to Citizen Kane and the famous sleigh. And that was it. When he could have all the millions of the world, and yet that was the happiest.
The moment, his last time he saw his mother, there was happiness. Yeah. And we've done on Rosebud everybody from Dame Judi Dench to Sir Keir Starmer.
John Major recently. Yeah.
Did you listen to John Major?
Yes,
it was very touching because he's 82 now.
Doesn't look it.
He doesn't look it, doesn't seem it, doesn't. I mean, funny enough, coming out of the recording, we're going down the street, and two people rolled down the window of their car and waved at him and said, "Didn't vote for you last time, but we would next time. Come back, please, come back."
Okay. Well, that's nostalgia, right there.
We want a grown-up like you. But what was moving about the conversation with him was that you may remember he had a circus background.
That's right.
His father being the circus and then in variety. And he felt clearly when he was Prime Minister that people were mocking his background.
Yes.
And he said, "I'm 82 now, but in my head," he obviously loved his parents. His father was in his mid-60s when John Major was born. He said, "I can tap my head and I can hear my parents' voices to this day. They were everything to me." And parents and on childhood, they are. A childhood lasts a lifetime.
It's extraordinary. And there's Bruce Springsteen on the cover all the time. And I was watching that movie last night, the premiere of his film, and it's all about his father, as played by Stephen Graham in flashbacks and in press. And it is his whole that man's success. And we'll come back to this because we have to take a break here. But it's the sliding door. If they had brilliant parents, they mightn't have become that. If they had terrible parents, they might have become that. Who knows? Will you stay with us for a few minutes?
I want to stay with you forever.
It's a good start. Oscar Wilde's birthday today.
It is.
Happy birthday, Oscar, eh?
Happy birthday,
How
Oscar.
about that?
And what has amazed me, because I've been writing about A.A. Milne, was to discover that A.A. Milne, who was well known as a playwright before he became well known as the creator of Winnie the Pooh, hugely successful playwright in the 1920s, plays on Broadway and at the West End, and often likened to Oscar Wilde, which was intriguing.
Yeah.
Oscar Wilde, of course, this is his birthday, born 1854, died 30th November 1900. Extraordinary, fascinating phenomenon. Wrote, I think, the best play written in the English language in the whole of the 19th century. The Importance of Being Earnest.
Still going.
Quite an achievement. And of course, seen for many years through the prism of his downfall.
Yeah.
I'm president of the Oscar Wilde Society.
And you were with his grandson
I
recently,
was, with Merlin Holland, who's written a wonderful book. I mean, I'm here to plug mine, but I'm happy to plug his.
While we're here,
Why don't we? Let's plug his. It's called After Oscar. It's essentially the story of the legacy of Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
Because if it was a challenge to be the son of A.A. Milne, the shape of Christopher Robin, it also has been a challenge to be the grandson of Oscar Wilde. Because people are looking at you and they're thinking, nobody was ever real with Christopher Robin. They would say, "Oh, you're Christopher Robin. Oh my." And when he was an older man, Christopher Robin had a bookshop. And people would come in and ask to sign the books. They'd bring in a copy of Winnie the Pooh and saying, "Would you sign it?" And he'd say, "I'd like Christopher Robin to sign it." And Christopher Robin would then say, "I'll just see if he's in." And then would leave the room, go upstairs, sign the book there, and then bring it down and said, "Yes, he was in.
Oh, that's
he
cute.
signed the book
I like
for you."
that.
So if you are Merlin Holland, grandson of Oscar Wilde, people are wanting to shake your hand to feel they've touched the blood.
Yes, of course, as I shook yours today. And the British Library, I love that story, reinstating his reader card 130 years after it was revoked. I think that's my story of the day.
It is amazing, and I'm privileged to be there tonight when this moment happens, when the chair of the British Library will be handing the card to Merlin Holland.
To Oscar Wilde's grandson. Isn't that extraordinary?
I'll take a snap.
I do,
and send it to you.
And send it to us along the way. Not only Oscar Wilde Society, things we could, the initiative of Poetry Together, which brings older people and younger people together through poetry. What a lovely thing to do.
That is going amazingly
Good on you.
well.
Well, I'm not surprised. You know what? I think post-pandemic, poetry has got another fillip on the basis that people are reflecting more and words are a balm.
But also, older people and younger people seem to get on very well together.
Yes, yes.
We did one a couple of years ago at the National Army Museum where this old soldier, he was in his 90s, recited a poem, a Siegfried Sassoon First World War poem, with a 12-year-old boy. They did it together. It was so moving.
Do you know, I reckon there's something about kids always feel that adults don't get them, and I think older people aren't given enough respect, and they deserve more, generally, as repositories of humanity. And that collision of the two is lovely.
Well, they're changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice. We did that one year with all the old people marching around and all the young people. And as a result of it, Queen Camilla, who supports Poetry Together, said, I know that Winnie the Pooh now lives, the real Winnie the Pooh lives in New York, the New York Public Library. Do you think he'll come for a visit to England for his centenary? And I said, well, I'll give it a go. And she said, well, if he does come over, I'm sure we'd be very happy to put him up at Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle.
Oh, amazing.
So no mere Airbnb for Winnie the Pooh.
Well, if you're going to get an Airbnb, do it
properly.
Michael says, could you ask Gyles to relay the story when Oscar visited the silver miners in Leadville, Colorado? It's a funny story.
Well, it's quite a funny story. He was lowered into the mine, I think, in a sort of to be taken right down.
Wow.
I mean, he did this tour, this author tour of America, giving these lectures. And he was talking about the House Beautiful. And he was very elegant, and anyway, the miners got on very, very well with him. I think the payoff is this the story where he says, "Don't shoot the pianist; he's doing his best." I can't quite remember.
No, that's okay. It's always, and actually, their Oscar Wilde birthday. They're having a birthday bash in Dublin. Oscariana.ie. The children's stories read in the house Oscar grew up in this weekend in Dublin. How about that? It's great to have the young people involved. The kids.
It's wonderful. I've written 7 novels based on the real life friendship between Oscar Wilde and Arthur Conan Doyle. Victorian murder mysteries.
Amazing.
The Candlelight Murders is the first one, and it's a kind of fictionalized biography of the great man. He was profoundly witty, but he was also very wise and an interesting human being. Oh, and forgive me, when I was a boy, I knew a man who knew Oscar Wilde. So if you shake my hand again, please.
Let's do it.
You've shaken the hand that shook the hand that wrote the importance of being earnest.
Gyles Brandreth.
Ryan, this is your sort of morning.
I tell you what,
if I can hang around a little bit longer, I can
that.
Introduce you to so many people at one remove.
I can only imagine. Gyles Brandreth, your book, Somewhere, A Boy and a Bear. What a beautiful thing it is. It's available in hardback now. Come and see us again as soon as possible, please.
I will.
What a joy.
Because you never met Winston Churchill in person, did you?
Did you?
Well, I've got something special for you
the handshake
next
coming on.
time.